Kolkata, the city of joy, not so much joy if you're a batter, because 20 wickets have fallen, 21 if you count Shubman Gill's absence as the India captain did not return to bat in this innings. But with a wicket having fallen, it is very much a game in the balance. The deficit was just 30. So on Bajaj Finserv Mutual Funds presents ESPNcricinfo Matchday. Sanjay Bangar is here, but why don't we first, Sanjay, go to Vernon Philander, the bowler's day out.
Of course.
And he predicted it, he called it. He said if India were not going to be bowled out, they'd be close to being bowled out. But not only are they bowled out, but South Africa have lost one as well. Vernon, sum up the test.
Yeah, I think a much better display with ball in hand. I think they've had a lot more control straight after lunch. I think they've obviously summed up, what's going to work and what's going to be effective on its surface. But again, what a wonderful spell by Simon Harmer. Really just keeping it tight. And then of course, Marco Jansen being, just a touch fuller and bringing those stumps into play. It certainly paid rewards. It just goes to show again. I think if you're a seam on that surface, you bowl straighter lines, you're going to be in the game because there's so much natural variation in the actual surface. But like I said to you guys, with a dry surface and with the ball stopping a little bit in the surface as well, the game is going to speed up. And no surprises that India were bowled out. But I think magnificent from South Africa, and it really speaks to the character of this team at the moment. That bounce back ability. It's not always where you're going to boss a test match, and win every session. But when the door opens up, you need to be, willing to make a play. And I think they certainly make that play, to get back into this test match.
Yeah, game is speeding up. Runs are drying up. A highest score of 39 by KL Rahul in the first innings of both teams. What are your thoughts on this test match as former batting coach, man who's perhaps the most under pressure when he sees test matches like this?
Yeah, I mean, you can clearly see from the faces of some of the members in the Indian team, they're probably not really looking at these with great delight. And when you're playing in India and home test matches are like these are small series, never a 4-match, 5-match series, you want your batters to be in good fray because these runs in the home conditions always help the confidence of the batters when they play in overseas conditions. So from that perspective, we felt that maybe the Indian team has pivoted a little bit in terms of what we saw in the first 2 test matches that they played against West Indies. But now having seen this particular test match, how the pitch has shown its color on day 2 itself, I didn't really expect it to go down that way. So yes, the batsman would be disappointed.
Why is this pitch playing like this?
I think the dryness of the surface, because at times you do get that feeling whenever you look at a Eden Garden surface that it will play differently, it will play tricks. But because of the moisture, it tends to hold up quite nicely, and you generally have 4-5 day test matches. But the cracks were there and the dryness underneath it, that is probably one of the reasons why you're getting that variable bounce which you've seen.
So one of the reasons the pitch is dry is that because there perhaps is not as much watering in the build-up to the test match. And I believe from reports that I've read that the ground staff has said that we're not going to water this for a day or 2 because that was just their estimation of how conditions would play out.
And there was enough time for them to prepare the pitch as well. It wasn't that there were back-to-back matches happening, or a number of Ranji Trophy matches have already been played on this particular surface. So enough time. I think this has been done to probably cater to the advantage that the home team wants to derive.
All right. Let's talk about the advantage that the visitors are deriving, as it turns out. Simon Harmer. Now, Vernon, this is a spinner. You need good spinners when you come to India, no matter what the surface is or what the rest of your side. But Simon Harmer seems like he was a standout bowler today. What was the key to his success for you?
Yeah, and I think you'd have learned quite a lot, from the last time that he was in India, obviously being not so successful, and the Indian batters really looking to dominate him. So you'd have gone away, implementing his own style. But I think the wonderful thing that he's bowling, and the one thing that complements, his style of bowling on this particular surface is that variation in pace. I think he has the ability to shift it up. He can get it above 90 k's an hour, but then he can also bring it right down to about 80 k's an hour, still having the same sort of control. And I think that's key, when you do bowl in the subcontinent, because you obviously have to set fields, to complement, your style of bowling. And at the moment, India just can't get that singles. They can't rotate strike, and it's a similar sort of style of play. With South Africa at the moment, that singles are so hard to come by. And when you do want to take the aerial route, there's not the pace and the bounce that you can trust in the surface, and that is what makes them so effective. Right at this juncture or crossroads. Obviously in this test match.
Sanjay, your thoughts on Simon Harman? What stood out for you?
I think the two deliveries that stood out for me during the second session is the way he deceived Akshar Patel when Akshar Patel actually was looking to go down the track, and the kind of control that he showed, slowing it down and defeating Akshar Patel's intention of playing a big shot. That to me just highlights the skill set of this particular player, and obviously enough variations, not too many in terms of bowling the dusra, but yes, bowls the beautifully directed ball which is going away from the right hander or from the left hander, but also just releasing few balls from the front of his hand which can get that ball to straighten even on a surface like this. So that becomes an extremely difficult ball to pick and play, especially when the batters are looking for playing the ball with the turn.
Any criticism of the batting itself from either side, but if India have also seen South Africa bat, and perhaps the only way is to try and get to, you said you revise your target, you want to try and get maybe a 60-70 run lead here, and that could be crucial. And with the wickets that you saw, anything that India's batters could have done differently?
I mean, they all tried hard, and just the case with the South African batsmen as well, that a lot of the batters from both sides have spent time on the pitch, 39 being the highest score, but the number of 20s that you see right across the score sheet from both the teams, it's quite a lot. So the batsmen have certainly tried to apply as much as possible, but the conditions are quite difficult as far as run scoring is concerned, that not enough boundary scoring opportunities or run scoring opportunities, and because of that, I think the fall shot is just around the corner.
Yeah, Vernon, you can jump in on that. Yeah, lots of 20s and 30s. Rickleton's gone as well, and he had a tough time out there. There's one from Bumrah that kept really low. We've seen a couple from Bumrah that have also shot up. So we understand it's not hard, it's not easy for the batters. Is there anything more they can do?
I think from a South African perspective, they have to identify, what's going to be the big threat, what's going to be the most dangerous dismissal ball. And for me, it's the ball that's going straight on. So against the spinners, you perhaps want to try and play for the straight one. If you get nicked off, so be it. But I think you want to obviously try and nullify, the big mode of dismissal, taking the conditions into consideration. I think, the way conditions are stacked up, I mean, LBW, bold, those are going to be, predominantly your modes of dismissal. So for me, you want to try and avoid that. Try and play with a straighter bat, but again, I think the word that comes to mind for me is there's going to be a lot of time left in this test match. So you need to get runs on the board. Wherever you can find the opportunity to score, you have to latch on that kind of opportunity, especially in this last season. Forget about the time left in the game. I think if you can get yourself 180 ahead, 200 ahead in this game, you're really going to be bossing. This third innings in any test match is so crucial. I mean, you can be out of the game, and all of a sudden, have a good third innings, and all of a sudden you're right back in the test match. And obviously, onto the contrary side is you could have had fantastic first innings, but you can get blown out in this particular third inning. So a massive innings for South Africa, but I do feel they've done all the hard work. So momentum, perhaps on their side, heading into this last season.
There's a smile that keeps growing on your face, Vernon, every time you talk about how hard it is for batters.
Yeah, tell me what. I love to see batters suffer from time to time, because I think, very often, the T20 format is a batter's game where bowlers are always, obviously up against it. So when they play on surfaces like this, where they are being challenged technically, where they are being challenged, in the mental capacity, it gives me great joy. But it also, brings out the best, in the best players in the world. And I think this is where, the real best players really stand up and make a mark. I mean, we know we're not going to get massive hundreds here, but a good 60, 70, could be the difference between the two teams.
Vernon, tell me your experience of playing that particular test match against Australia, wherein Australia was probably got bowled out for 50 odd, and then what was this test match all about? Can you just, give us some memories from that particular test?
Yeah, I think you're talking about my debut at Newlands. Look, I mean, obviously receiving my baggy green, the day before the test match. So I had a lot of nerves, a lot of jitters heading into the test match. And I think Australia batted really well. They got 287, if I'm not mistaken. Michael Clark got a massive 150. And then we got rolled for for 96. I mean, obviously completely unexpected, with the batting lineup that we had, some of the greatest, some of the greatest cricketers in the world at the time. But I remember walking out in the third innings, and this is why I want to highlight, the importance of the third innings. And I said to Dale, if we can bowl them out for 150, we'd still give ourselves a chance because there's still plenty of time left in the test match. And Dale, I mean, looked at me, with a little bit of a smile on his face, almost to say, yeah, you must be kidding me. These guys are just gonna, probably just bully us, moving forward in this test match. And then we had a magical spell. I think myself and Morne, we had about 10 overs where we knocked six or seven wickets down. I remember looking up at the scoreboard at one stage and they were 21 for 9. I mean, completely unheard of, especially with, the likes of Ponting and Clark, featuring in the same lineup. But yeah, I mean, we got a couple on a string, got a couple of, on a good line and length, and it paid off. But also, having played a lot of my cricket at Newlands, I knew that, there could be that kind of spell, obviously, from the bowling front. And luckily, we got a couple of things going together, and we knocked them over for, I think it was 47. And I mean, a complete turnaround, and that's why I'm saying, you need to keep believing, irrespective of where the test match is. I think one half a session can really change the game around, and especially in a low scoring fixture as well. So I do feel South Africa, having done the work they've done with the ball a little earlier, they've afforded themselves that opportunity, to really fight back in this particular test match as well.
All right, excellent. I wonder why you thought of this other test match where a team was bowled out for 40 and just trying to see how much Vernon enjoys talking about these kinds of games. Now, let me ask you in all seriousness, India would be a little nervous here. You said that the surface might well be to cater to the home team's advantage, but I think it's a deeper discussion we'll have whether these surfaces are actually advantageous to the Indian team at the back of the New Zealand series defeat last year. But for now, India are in the game, or the game is in the balance. What are bowling plans, especially in the absence of Shubman Gill? It looked like a really smart move by Rishabh Pant to get Kuldeep Yadav for that last over before lunch. They've got to make sure they're ruthless in this session. What would you like to see them do?
I think they have an opportunity to bowl spin from both ends, especially in the last session. The ball being relatively new, so reverse swing might not play a part. So they have a chance, and probably the game plan of South African batters to play anything slightly back of a length or slightly fuller length on the back foot. We saw a couple of attempts from Akram, as well as Rickleton, to play anything which they don't think that they can read. They want to go on the back foot, and thereby I think on such surfaces you are wanting your spinners to be in the game. So with a harder ball, I think spin from both end right after the end of the tea break.
Vernon, have we already reached that territory where batters would be thinking, right, let's try and get quick 20s and 30s, almost like Rishabh Pant did, Harvey and Mulder, who will come out, I'm guessing, straight after tea. Do you sense we're getting into that territory rather than bat long before there's one with your name on it?
Yeah, I firmly believe that strong body language is going to be key, looking to score, having a positive mindset, and really, be sure of your game plan. I think, this kind of surface cries out for everyone to have a different approach, a different style as to how you're going to, acquire a run. So be comfortable. Know that the ball's going to beat the bat. Know that there is going to be difficulty, but like as I said, it's going to be about runs on the board at the end of the day. So I'll make sure I get the message across, guys. Don't worry about that. Sanjay, it's a little bit different to day one, and I do feel South Africa's got the momentum with them.
Okay, on that note, let's get predictions. Vernon says South Africa's got the momentum. Mr. Philander, where is this game going to stand at stumps on day 2?
I do feel there will be wickets lost, but I feel South Africa will try and score, relatively quickly. So I think they're going to be about 100, 110 ahead by the end of... But by the close of play, and hopefully they'll be 4 down.
100 plus at the end of the day with 4 down. They would lick their lips, South Africa, if they bite Vernon's hand off for that situation. What about you, Mr. Bangar?
I would say India picks 4 wickets for less than 60 in this session.
Oh my. All right. Well, make note that the light does fall quickly in the evening session at Kolkata, but for now we leave it there. Sanjay Bangar, Vernon Philander, delicious final session on day 2 awaits us. Let's pick up the chat and see where this first test stands with Mr. Bangar and Mr. Philander then. Join us for post-match analysis or end-of-day analysis at Stumps on Bajaj Finserv Mutual Funds presents ESPN Cricinfo Matchday.